Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Glenn Beck. I'm your co-host, along with my dear friends and co-hosts. We have Nathan Ingram Sensei and his son, Jacob Ingram. We're here tonight with Mr. Shawne Merriman. Shawne is a former football player, all-around nice guy from everything I've read and heard. We'll find out in a couple of minutes. And he evidently owns Lights Out Xtreme Fighting. This is an MMA type of fighting thing. We're not talking about just boxing. We're talking about extreme fighting. We're going to give him a second here to say hello, and then he's going to explain all of this stuff to us, including some of his football, his martial arts, and we're going to get into it. So, Mr. Shawne, it's up to you, brother.
What's up, guys? How you doing?
It's good to have you, brother. It's great to have you.
Man. I appreciate it. Yes, after retiring, man, and obviously playing with the Chargers and the Buffalo Bills, I got into MMA, back when I was playing. I don't know if you guys know Jay Glazer over at Fox Sports, right? So Jay had introduced me to Randy Couture. And so back in between 05 and 06, I started training with Randy during the off seasons a little bit. And I originally just started to help me be a better football player, like use my hands. And as an outside linebacker and pass rusher, man, you have to be violent with your hands. You got to be active and use your hands. And when I got to the NFL, I wasn't any good. So I just started doing it every off season. I retired, got straight to TV, went over to NFL Network for a couple of years, Fox Sports a couple of years, ESPN, and back to Fox Sports, and ended up launching Lights Out Xtreme Fighting in 2019. And as I said, before, we're on Fubo TV, Fubo Sports. So you guys that don't have football out there, get it. You want to check us out. We got a big fight coming up August 26th at Casino Palma in San Diego. So I'm back in my own stomping grounds for the first time with Lights Out. So it's been pretty cool for me.
So are you going to be fighting on the card
That's a good
August 26th?
Say that again?
Are you going to be fighting on the card August 26th?
No. If I had 29 hours or 30 hours in a day, man, I probably would think about it. But it's I say this, and I have been sparring, and I've been training with a lot of top end fighters for a long time. Fighting is something you don't play, right? Like you can go out and play football, you can play basketball, but fighting, man, you either do it or you don't. You going in there and you risking your body. Right. And so it's not like you're going to go play a pickup game at LA Fitness somewhere. Like you're going to war. And, I train and I spar with a lot of these guys sometimes just to stay in shape, to stay disciplined. But for the most part, man, I'm running everything with Lights Out. And one of my biggest things and why I got into the sport is being able to promote these next up and coming fighters, to give them some more eyeballs and give them some more pub. And so people can see them and obviously grow our eyeballs on Fubo.
Who are some of your top fighters in Lights Out right now?
Yeah, well, we got so this next fight, August 26th, we got about 12 to 14 fights. We got 14 now. I'm thinking that we might walk into the fight with 12, injuries, commission, and different stuff. We got a couple guys, Matus, man, who is a up-and-coming Brazilian. This dude is a beast. And he is actually on that flyer that I sent, Josh sent you guys. He's going to the US. I mean, he'll be in the UFC in the next fight or two. In fact, I think he already got an offer from a contender, and we got a couple former UFC guys that's trying to get back into back in the swing of things and looking for the opportunity to get back into the UFC possibly. So that's what it's about for us, man. Like we have 7 amateur fights on this card, and so a lot of these guys are local, right, from your local gyms in that area close to where we having the fight at. So we want to give them an opportunity first. And the cool thing of it is some of our amateur fights end up making the live broadcast on Fubo. So a lot of people don't do that and try to show some of the amateurs the love to get out there.
Nice.
Your Lights Out is extreme fighting. What's the difference per se from your extreme fighting? When you think of anything extreme, it's like the most dangerous, the most, whatever. So it being an extreme fighting, what's the difference between what you're promoting and what your business is versus any of the others?
Yeah, well, one of the ones is everything I've ever done in my life has always been extreme. And obviously having a nickname like Lights Out, I think, Lights Out is cool, but excuse my language, but this is some extreme shit is what I said. I said, coming from the NFL and what I did on the field, I said, this is a bit more extreme. And I started to think, I said, hold on, Lights Out Xtreme. I said, oh my God, I got to stay with that. So when we launched it, I was like, Lights Out is great name and all that. It was a name that I built in the football field. But I said, this is some extreme shit, in my exact words. And that's how the Lights Out Extreme fighting came about, because we just took it from another level from what I did on the football field.
You look like a young fella. How old are you?
39.
39. Okay. I think you're doing a great job here. 39, you got your own like up and coming solid business plan. You're able to clearly sort of piggyback on the ones that have already sort of broken the ceiling and gotten into it. And sounds like you got a lot to be proud of. A football star. I mean, how many people make it into that?
Yeah, man, I've been extremely fortunate. It's not too many times you get a chance to do what I did on the football field, have that kind of notoriety. Like, that was my dream. I grew up in Prince George's County, Maryland, and DMV area, a little bit outside of Washington, D.C. And so there was no NFL players where I was growing up. That wasn't even a possibility. So have that, kind of transition into here. And now running an organization, man, it's, you hear about these stories of guys making that transition when they done playing, and it is tough. I mean, I went through it. I struggled trying to figure out, and I had plenty of things lined up. I had my network jobs, broadcast, I had Lights Out. I had a bunch of cool stuff lined that I was doing, and there's still some days I was like, damn, man, this is it. Is this it for me? Because you just can't really let go the game, right? That transition is tough. And so by me staying in the gym, I was sparring heavy with a lot of the MMA guys, and it helped me kind of stay in that locker room atmosphere, because you hear a lot of guys when you get done, you miss the locker room camaraderie, the guys that's in there, and you don't have that anymore. So that's why a lot of guys have a struggle. So I kind of rolled right in to, the MMA business and the circuit of doing that, all into learning, kind of the broadcasting side, the production side, because I was at the major networks for so long. So I learned a lot, through the course of doing that.
You said something a little earlier. You said you met Randy Couture. You were introduced to Randy Couture 2005, 2006, right? Now, prior to that, my question is, did you have any martial arts experience prior to that?
No, just boxing. My uncles were professional boxers, and we grew up around a lot of boxers in the DMV area. In fact, I grew up probably about 15 to 20 minutes from Sugar Ray Leonard's gym in Palmer Park. So growing up on the East Coast, like, boxing was it. MMA wasn't on the scene yet. And when I got to San Diego in the mid 2000s, MMA started to just take off. And I started going to UFC fights around 2005. And when I walked into the first fight that I went to, I want to say it was Chuck Liddell was fighting somebody in 2005. And I looked around and I saw the crowd and I saw the lights and I saw everything. And I was like, oh my God, this is what I want to get into one day.
It's all opportunity.
It was a lot of opportunity. Yeah. And I think now, because of how global the sport of MMA is, don't get me wrong, like, football will always be king here in the States, in the country. Like, football will always be number one. But I think globally, there's a lot of opportunity in this MMA business.
Right.
Right. So how would you compare the MMA business to the NFL in terms of excitement, what it does for your adrenaline, your personal adrenaline? What does it do for you in terms of just motivation? What does it do for you? The transition.
There's a lot of correlation, man, in between football fans and MMA fans. Like, football fans, you got your favorite team, right? It's like I played the last couple of years in Buffalo. When you're born in Buffalo, as soon as you come out, they put a Buffalo Bills beanie on your head. Like, you're a Buffalo Bills fan and you ain't got a choice, right? And so you'll kind of fast forward to the MMA side, they got their favorite fighter. And you can't argue with them. You can't say whatever. If you're a John Jones fan, you think Khabib is the best fighter of all time, and it is an argument. It's a flat out argument, because they're so passionate about their favorite fighter. And two, one of the things I learned early on in football, people, before Hard Knocks and all this stuff in the NFL films, people didn't really understand like what went into the game, right? The training camps and people getting cut and all this stuff that Hard Knocks, all this stuff exposes to. And I think that when Contender got really big with the UFC, it was a behind the scenes thing and what happens to the MMA world. So it got the fans closer to understand, like, hey, these guys are fighters, but they're also humans. They're also people. They got real life problems and real life situations. And I think that the more and more people found out about the sport, it makes you in tune to even more to that fighter.